For me, not so much for me personally, got a little more thick skin, but like for my friends in Hillel and Jewish Student Union and Jewish fraternities and sororities. And we found out who did it. He got expelled from school, and I thought my grandma was going to kick his ass more than anything. But in light of the recent, events that taken place, like be good to people, take care of each other, and it makes the world a better place. So I just like to call that out. So I ran for president. This was my MBA year, even though I was an undergrad. It was incredible. When you're AS president at San Diego State, you're the CEO of Associated Students. It's a $30 million 501c3 nonprofit with 80 full-time employees, 1,000 part-time employees. We have 7 on and off campus facilities, including this $100 million Aztec Student Union that we're in. And for that whole year, you are sitting on the board of directors of Aztec Shops, a $40 million organization, Campanile Foundation, which is our college endowment, even the Research Foundation, which manages over 100 million in private, federal, and state-funded research grants on top of AS. So this year was crazy. I got to go to the Capitol, we got to lobby, we got to lead this wonderful group of students. And it really was another connection to the time at Apple, that rinse, wash, repeat, that same pitch every single day for the organization, on behalf of students, representing 35,000 undergraduates, on behalf of the 5,000 faculty staff and the 400,000 SDSU alumni. This facility was in construction. So the one that we're standing in was in construction the year that I was president, and have a vision for something that does not yet exist. So the photo on the back left here is the old student union, which most of the materials got repurposed into the new student union. And at the time we had a new president, Dr. Hirschman, and literally he and I would go around every single week to students, to faculty staff, to the community, to alumni on the news, and pitch this vision. For him it's the university, and for us, it was this beautiful Aztec Student Union. And as an entrepreneur, that's something that you have to have, is that enthusiasm. Every single time you pitch your business, no matter how early in the morning, how late at night, your enthusiasm will get somebody excited about what you're doing. And that's why 6 years in with my business now, still continue to care about this journey very much. So rinse, wash, repeat. This is more of an SDSU slide, a little nostalgic. These are 3 wonderful people, 2 of whom have passed, that were faculty staff here, former presidents and vice presidents. I just like to give them a little tribute. And then a little on the sadder side, when Steve Jobs passed away, it was like the weirdest feeling, like someone I never met, never knew. Like when he passed away, I was like, felt like I lost part of my childhood and identity. And I got to go back up to one infinite loop Apple way. And that was just recently after he had passed this month, 12 years ago, and got to kind of pay my respects. It's kind of a wholesome moment. Am I getting booted? Oh, Wi-Fi? Oh gosh. I went through a weird phase after college of pointing my finger in there in photos, don't judge me. But I did go travel. I traveled a bunch, it was fun. I was still single, so my wife would say, what are you doing there? And there's my wife, there she is. So I met her in college, and we started dating at the end of school. I'd like to give her a little shout out. She's been with me through 3 startups. We want to talk relationships and entrepreneurship. I'm your guy, we're still together. So care for others so you can care for yourself. I'm going to skip through these very quick for time's sake, but Trust and Mold will be the kind of focal point of today's conversation. This is my 3rd company, and the first startup, 2 years of my life, put most of my money into it. I'll skip the pitch for today's sake, but we kind of had seen this evolution of social media at the time, and we felt that there was an opportunity to pitch a product that focused on niche communities. So social media was going macro, we wanted to go micro. We wanted to create as small of a social network for people and places that mattered to you. So this is when we got involved with Zip Launchpad back at my end of college. And we had resources and support from the university, which now it's a huge deal. The university's really gotten behind entrepreneurship, but at the time it was relatively fresh and new. And we went down the path of going and pitching at TechCrunch and meetup events, similar to what a lot of you have done this week with Startup Week. And we had fun, we built a team, but when we started to try and pitch investors, we failed miserably. We were pitching a bunch of, no offense to older people, we were pitching a bunch of old people on the future of social media when they're like, what's Facebook? What's LinkedIn? I'm like, oh, you're not gonna get this. Now, what ended up happening is a weird kind of macro event, is that when Facebook tried to buy Snapchat for $3 billion, it went from very few companies that were trying to do what we're doing to hundreds of apps, within a 3-month period. And it was unbelievable. Vine, Yik Yak, not TikTok, but a lot of the social media apps from 10 years ago that were in Silicon Valley or in Los Angeles or in New York immediately got funded with really qualified entrepreneurs. And that was the first time that I was like, wow, where you're based sometimes can be an advantage. And for us, it led to us deciding to get off this train. So we shut down that company, back to square one, get comfortable, being uncomfortable. I was like, man, 2 years of my life, nothing made of it other than having a little bit of fun. But I remembered I had a good support system. And that started with a mentor, John Buffini, who's a dear friend, lives in a beautiful penthouse in San Diego. I think that's why I was mostly friends with him. I was like, oh, he's got a cool view. But he's a phenomenal coach, career coach. In fact, his company is now our coach to our executive team at Trustimo. My chief of staff aide is over there, so I keep like waving at her. So, but anyways, I went through this period of, okay, let's get back on our feet, something to believe in again. And it led me to figuring out, okay, what's that next venue going to be? This is like a nostalgic selfie here. I was like sad. I was like, nothing, I got nothing, guys. Like, it's my emo phase. But I live downtown. This is when downtown was cheap, by the way, like 9 years ago. And I'm going to fly through these. Worried about my future. I signed up for Lyft. I picked up a bunch of probably Aztecs, a weekend in PB. I was like, I'm good. So I skipped that job and I was like, I'm going to go work at a restaurant. And I found myself these are all my stock photos. Pounding the pavement, looking for now hiring signs, waiting, and then firing off emails on Craigslist and waiting. And I was like, this process is broken. Like, how has no one fixed this? So this is where the idea came for second company. The only photo I worked in a nice restaurant. The only photo I ever took was this blurred selfie. I don't know, I have no other photos. So I was like, whatever. I don't even know why I took this, but that's the one photo I got, proof that I worked at the restaurant. And I was like, why is there not a LinkedIn for hospitality? I'd met so many people that worked in this restaurant that truly cared about hospitality. They wanted to be an executive chef. They wanted to be a bar owner. They wanted to be the GM of a fancy place in town. And I was like, none of them were on LinkedIn. We had 160 employees. Not a single one were on LinkedIn. They didn't even know what LinkedIn was. And at the time, they were still 26 billion market cap public company. It was crazy. And I'd seen a few other companies building kind of a LinkedIn for hospitality. But I was like, the second time around, I kind of knew things a little bit faster. I knew to go to good attorneys, and RIP at old SVB, they're still SVB. But we went to SVB and got our bank accounts open, and we went to tech events and like started to really try to carry ourselves to a higher standard. And we built the team faster, and we got our app to market faster. And that's like saying yes to new opportunities. We got to go pitch on stage. I got to pitch Mark Cuban 12 years later, and I showed him that photo from when I was in middle school. And we won that pitch competition and many others. And that's what led to industry over the course of the next couple of years. We went on to raise millions of dollars, have a great team. And I think this one, oh yeah, just fun stuff. I got engaged, got to pitch to a bunch of middle school students. I had a killer joke that like totally landed in front. I was so nervous, way less nervous in front of you guys. You guys are good people. Middle schoolers are ruthless. And I landed the best joke. I like referenced Divine that I was popular at the time, and they're like losing it. I got high fives after. I felt like the coolest person on the planet that day. And I got a photo to prove it. And I've pitched in this room before. That's from like 6 years ago. And also an Aztec polo when, what's his name? DJ Khaled was popular on Snapchat. But to get back to the business, like we really built something special. We made people in hospitality feel important. It's really hard when you're working your ass off in a kitchen or in a restaurant, trying to make ends meet to feel valued. And we built this community and this presence that people cared about our brand. Like they felt identified with industry as a brand. And we got to do that across over a dozen markets across the US. We'd go in, we'd help them get visibility on our social media, and then help them build their profile on the platform and help them position themselves for a promotion or that next job opportunity. And we got to do this with a team of people that cared. And this is where things are going to get dark here before we talk about Trust and Mo. But this is my last week at the company. And you're like, well, you look so happy. You're on the news. You're talking to people in the restaurants. You got a guy wearing the hat. Like people really bought into the brand. So June 15th, 2017, a little over 6 years ago, I walked into our boardroom and thought we were reviewing finances, and I was fired. And that was the end of my journey after almost 4 years. And this is one of the things as a founder is like failure's a highly likely option. Getting fired is one that's not thought about or not talked about as often, and it's very uncomfortable. And a big lesson learned is that your company is not your identity. And after this happened, I had to take like a month off to figure out what was next. But here we are, back to square one. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And again, your identity is not your company. So the thing that I had a support system. I had San Diego State. I was not running for office there. That's just that. It's me being cool Cody then with my red tie. This was before Trump was in office, so please don't judge. Point being is that this is I was still involved at San Diego State. This was my home. Like I had the alumni board. I was on my first year, and I had all these incredibly talented alumni around me. I was like, wow, like I got a community who cares. I am like literally back to square one, and I got a community around me. I got a family around me, and on the alumni board especially, just like a great group of people. I got married and got an awesome honeymoon. And this kind of quote, I think it's from a movie. I need to Google it, but his reputation is what people think of you. Character is what you are. That's really stuck with me in this time of transition. And to bring it back to industry, and I'm trying to wrap this up in 5 minutes for the panel here. Moniker Coffee, which is a little spot down in Liberty Station, August 4th, 2017, sat down for coffee, was talking crypto with a buddy, and little did I know, it would lead to this text. And little did I know it'd lead to 2 months of whiteboarding. And little did we know that it would lead to a company that's now doing pretty well. So we started this company, Trust the Mill. Personally, I got married at the time, so estate planning is not the sexiest thing to talk about with your fiance, but we talked about estate planning, we talked about money, tax, wills. And for those of you who have an estate plan or have thought about this before, it's planning today for what happens tomorrow. And people set these up to protect loved ones. Usually kids is a big factor. It's to protect your assets, your home, your financial accounts, your investments. You want to leave money to charity. You want to think about tax control, business succession planning. And who needs an estate plan? Everyone, honestly. But if you are a parent, if you are a homeowner, if you have aging parents or so many younger people in the audience, you have aging grandparents, this is a conversation that's not happening in this country, nor in most countries. And the more that we started thinking about this, the more that we said, okay, hey, let's go pitch this. And we went to Quick Pitch 2017 in front of 500 people at Qualcomm headquarters. We had 2 minutes to pitch on stage, way longer than my 25-minute monologue so far. But we took third place. And we got one of those big Happy Gilmore checks that apparently you cannot cash at a bank. They'll give you a petite check to cash. And we weren't even a company. We were like, can you make the check out to Stephen Barrow? And they're like, who's Stephen Barrow? I'm like, that's our developer. We owe him $5,000, which is convenient. But it was wild because we had the support of the community. We had Ryan from Techstars telling us that they're starting this Anywhere program. We had folks that wanted to invest, some of whom are in this room. And we had people that actually wanted to use this product. It was like a really good win after 3 months of inactivity. So I'm a hip hop head, so guess who's back? Back again. Barbo's back. Tell a friend. Anyways, we got a San Diego Business Journal did a little cover story on us after that pitch, which kind of gave us our groove back. And that's when things got super fun. As we incorporated the company at the end of 2017, we got into Techstars Anywhere. Thank you, Ryan. And things felt good for the first time in a while. And this is where you can't give up on the entrepreneurial journey. Is that you get failed, you can get fired. You can't give up if you want to do this. And I'll just rapid fire through these. Like, we've just been on a tear the last 6 years now. We've got an incredible team that navigated COVID and crazy fundraising environments. We've now raised close to 50 million in capital, but most importantly, we've helped over 500,000 families in the United States. We've got best-in-class reviews. We've got a wonderful team of 80 people, 3 years in a row, Best Magazine or Inc. Magazine Best Workplace. And earlier this year, we announced that we're a certified B Corp. I think I update the slide, but yeah, we're a B Corp, and we have a team with integrity and values, and it's been an amazing journey. And this business that we're pursuing as we've unfolded over the last 6 years, every single year that we do a little bit better, it's just continued to unfold. This is a huge market mover. It is the wealth transfer, the great wealth transfer, 70 trillion in assets passing between generations over the next 20 years. And what we're doing at Trust the Mill is going to help facilitate that. If you turn on your TV, I'll probably see you there. We spent a lot on TV commercials, and the only reason why Patrick and I are in this is because it saved us like 50 grand instead of working with talent. So founders, always have your mindset hat. This is me in our wingsuit. This is not me wingsuiting. This is to bring back that skydiving post from earlier. We have one of my fraternity brothers is a professional skydiver, but we got him a wingsuit. It says trust fall in between the legs there. It's really fun to have that. So I wanted to connect on a couple things here. One is just to power the network. Let's get music out there. This is majestic. I don't have a singing voice like that. The power of the network is so missed sometimes. So I have a 3-year-old, so this is why we're doing ABCs today. A's is your all-stars. It's your personal board of directors, people that trust you, that you trust them, but they're honestly the group of people that will call you out on your bullshit the quickest. Your B's are your business contacts, your besties, like 150 people that you remain very close to, intimate details about each other's lives, when they're getting married and having kids and buying a home, like big life milestones and also sad ones. But these are people that you generally keep in touch with the most. Your C's are your connections. It's people you went to college with, your colleagues, people that you're connected with on social media. And the thing that's so important about a C is a C will always get you to an A or a B, sometimes missed. D is your deletes, your delinquents. They're dragging you behind. Disassociate with them. Don't delete them from I'm not gonna say, hey, we're friends. You're deleted. That's rude. You're an A or B. I can feel it. But the reality is that there are people that'll hold you back in life. And it's sometimes forgotten that it's so quick to just get rid of someone that's kind of a downer. And then E is everyone, because they can be an A, B, C, or D. To bring it back to San Diego State, so I'm an alumni. This school and most campuses generally have support on entrepreneurship. And what it's become now is truly incredible. And we've taken, at Trustimo, we've taken advantage of everything that San Diego State can offer us. Because we're still alumni. Like if you're an alumnus, go back to your alma mater, like tap into that network, tap into the university, the school, the College of Business, or if there's an entrepreneurship program, you'd be blown away how supportive they are for alumni, not just students. Those resources typically apply to you. And what they can do for you for visibility, hey, I'm on stage. What they can do for you for activation, what the alumni can do for you for fundraising or for customer acquisition or for partnerships. I'm always looking at the SDSU connection. We've got 15 Aztecs on the team. We got some on our cap table and continuing to hire people that are just, part of this university. It's not a prerequisite, but sometimes it's forgotten how much your community or college specifically can be a value add to your business. Social media, if you want to follow me, shameless plug, you'll see good content there, but I typically, I try to post every day. I share the journey, partially, to celebrate our success, make our team feel proud of what we're doing, but also for you guys to find some inspiration that like you can craft your own narrative and brand. And posting on social doesn't cost you anything. It's free. And it's free when you're a startup. Free is good. Last one here, and this is, I think, really powerful. Set a 10-year vision for yourself. There's if you go on Google, of all the companies, Lululemon has the best vision and goals worksheet. And it's basically like a 6-page PDF that helps you map out a 10-year vision for yourself. And it has you go from 10 years back to 5 years, back to 1 year, and it breaks it down personal, professional, and health-related goals. But the thing that I love about this worksheet, and it's my most recommended link, is that we never feel like you're off track in life. It doesn't matter what age, what stage of life, where you're at in your career. You're not always, I found this in 2015. I'm not like 8 years in on a 10-year plan. It's always 10 years out. And instead of me just revisiting this at my birthday or at the new year, it's an opportunity, if I ever feel like I'm veering off course, just to think about this, bring myself back on track. And this is so missed. And I can't say enough how powerful it is for you to tell a story of what's your 10-year vision for yourself, not just your 10-year vision for your company, but for yourself. Most people don't have that. And it feels like this has been my guiding light. And I give Lululemon credit for it. So that's my one more thing. I'm really grateful that I shared this earlier this year, but I left $1 million gift to San Diego State University to support entrepreneurship. So thank you. It only applies when I die, so please don't push me down the stairs. But it will really support entrepreneurship at San Diego State. So in the meantime, please keep giving to SDSU, give time, give money, and give thanks to the amazing people that make this campus so special. So that's it. Thank you. That's the end of my time. We're going to go to a panel now.
All right, I'm going to introduce the panelists really quickly and go through your introductions while you come on up. So Adam Riggs, if you want to come on up. Adam is the head of programs and technology at Founders First Capital. Founders First Capital is helping companies grow and scale through strategic advisory and revenue-based investment. Adam is recognized for pioneering innovative AI and machine learning applications, including developing a music app called Rock My Run. He's a graduate of UCSB's computer science and a business and economics and MBA from SDSU. Go Aztecs. Sharon Zhang, co-founder and CTO of Personal.AI. Personal.AI is a unique model that represents who you truly are. Your Personal AI is a digital encyclopedia of you, built on your individual data and entirely owned by you. Sharon is a graduate from MIT with degrees in biology and electrical and computer science engineering. She strives to build companies that move the world forward, embracing the principles of original thinking and authentic AI. Last but not least, Samantha Pantazopoulos, co-founder and CEO of Vizer. Vizer is building technologies that increase the utilization of health-forward products, services, and behaviors. Graduate of USD and Bachelor of Business Administration, Sam is a multi-time social entrepreneurship award winner and was named the Rising Star Entrepreneur of the Year at the Women's Venture Summit very recently. All right, and Cody, I will pass it over to you. Thank you, panelists.
Woo. Yep. Test.
Test. Yes.
Let's go. Now I get to be the panelist. Welcome to the Entrepreneurship Talk Show hosted by Cody. We have 3 incredible people here, some who I've known for many years. Really grateful for Adam, Sharon, and Samantha to be on stage with us today. Like I shared my story, I think that every entrepreneur's story starts somewhere. And I'd love for maybe each of you to just do a quick intro for yourself and talk about where your entrepreneurial journey started. So Adam, I'll have you start here.
Cool, thanks, Cody. And it's such a great pleasure to be back here at San Diego State, having done my graduate degree here. So this is awesome. My entrepreneur story has been a long one. I've had the opportunity to start 4 different companies in my career. Everything from a digital media company, which was my last one, called Rock My World Media, that was all around music for exercise. We're the official music provider for Orange Theory Fitness, if anybody's ever heard of that. If you've been to one, you've heard some of our company's product. So everything from that to a more traditional business, not necessarily a sexy startup, but I had a chance to open a bar and restaurant in Indonesia, of all countries. So it's been a long, strange journey, as Jerry Garcia might say. Today I work at Founders First Capital Partners, kind of on the other side of the table, where we grow and fund diverse entrepreneurs and their companies through both education as well as revenue-based financing, and look forward to talking to you guys about that. Thanks.
Thanks, Adam. Sharon?
Cool. I'm actually first-time founder, so if you want to know all the anxiety I have, happy to share that. And I have always been part of startups, so been part of 5 of them. 3 of them were acquired by various companies. The first one is actually a healthcare company acquired by Nuance Communications, which was later acquired by Microsoft. Also went to the dark side a bit and worked at a hedge fund, writing algorithms for frequency trading. And then went back to the more lighter side, working on really patient problems in the space of like heart disease prediction. How do we eliminate hospital readmission rates and all the good stuff and positive things that came out of that. My last startup was Glint, which was acquired by LinkedIn also. So definitely have been part of a lot of people's amazing entrepreneurial journey. Personally, I was started about 3 years ago. We were talking pre-COVID time and also pre-GPT time, because we're an AI company, so we talk about that. With both my co-founders, who are actually, one of them is from SDSU and the other one's from UCSD. So I have all my thanks to give to San Diego for my co-founders. And yeah, I'll talk, I guess, a little bit about us later, but if you think about ChatGPT as building public AIs on public domain data, essentially we build private AIs on individual people's data. And our eventual goal is really all of you sitting here, I would love to be able to Google your mind someday. And that's what we're building.
Google my mind, that's interesting. Hi everyone, excited to be here. I went to University of San Diego, so not too far away. Been in San Diego about 10 years, and I had the idea for my company while I was a college student. So not much worthy experience prior to that, but similar to Cody, I was like a big Steve Jobs, weird kid watching the videos. He asked us to talk a little bit about our origin story, and mine was really that I hated working out. I was participating in this business model incubator, and the whole question was, how could we use business to solve social problems? Enter in the app that we launched. It's called Vizer. Every day you work out, brands will donate meals through US food banks, and then you earn rewards for yourself. It's since evolved where those rewards are a big driver of the business, and we help healthy brands create incentives, and then we package them into marketplaces.
For that. So in my talk, I shared some highs and I shared some lows, and I'd love for maybe the 3 of you to share some highs and lows of the startup journey. It keeps us humble as entrepreneurs. So we'll go reverse actually on this one, Samantha.
I mean, there are so many highs and so many lows that I feel like it's just this wave that keeps going up and down. For us, I think that they always kind of tied to, my co-founder Dylan explains it really well, feeling like we were in this slingshot that was pulled all the way back and it was ready to go, but for some reason it just couldn't go. So whether we were launching a product and the product was delayed, or we were waiting for a partnership and waiting for that big partnership to come in, there was always that piece that was like right ahead that keeps you in this waiting game, waiting for it to come. But the moment it comes through, like the moment that deal comes through, or you close the capital round, or the competition even, like those highs are unimaginable. So I think like finding balance and whatever your practice is to not get too caught up in the lows or too caught up in the highs and just know it will even out is really crucial for the startup journey.
Good. Yeah.
There are so many. So I'll choose a few. We started the company about 3 days before COVID shut down, which makes fundraising very, very difficult at the time. So we definitely decided to actually pitch people, but it didn't actually turn out very well for us. So we actually stopped pitching people and went back to building the actual POC of the product or MVP of the product. So the high there was we actually also got to pitch at TechCrunch. And we did this very risky live demo with basically, I think, me coding on terminal. And it was actually my co-founder pitching in real time when the AI is predicting the next things that he would say, all in real time. This is pre-GPT again. It turned out really well, actually, for us. So that was a high moment. Our lead investor came in about probably a week after the TechCrunch Battlefield presentation we did. So we took a risk and it paid off, right? So one thing I always tell the founders, right? You're gonna have, like, sometimes you take a risk and it doesn't turn out, but sometimes you take a risk and it pays off a lot, right? And in the founding journey, a lot of times you just have to do it, right? Because there's almost no point you're certain of anything is gonna happen successfully. So you just try everything until something works, right? And for that turned out. Yeah, I think I kind of covered low and high there.
So I'm gonna break the rules a little bit. There's so many ups and downs, and I could tell stories about tears of joy and tears of sadness. But I think the message I want to communicate around this is just taking the time to appreciate the fact that you get to have those feelings as a founder. Like, most people do not embark on this journey. Now, folks in this room, many of you have or will, but most people in life do not. And they don't get to feel those highs and lows nearly as much as somebody as a founder, somebody as a founding team. And when you're going through it, it can seem like the best thing or the worst thing, to Samantha's point. And now I have the opportunity to be on the other side and be like, wow, that was amazing to even have the sense to feel that, to care that much about what you're building, about the people you're building with, about the lives that you're impacting. Most people don't get a chance to do that. So I encourage founders to take a time to just appreciate the times that are great, of course, but also the times that suck, because they really make you, you can appreciate, just kind of going through that journey and how unique of a journey it is for you.
So we're gonna go super specific for the willers in this room that will start a company, which is, what was the exact moment that you actually committed? I'm going to do this, not think about it. Maybe there's something like, I'm doing this, because that's sometimes the hardest part. And for my first startup, it kind of happened when Ethan, no joke, Kathy, shout out, it's a plug for Zip. Ethan's like, hey, there's this thing on campus called Zon Center. And I'm like, what? And he's like, they have free coffee and snacks and they talk about startup stuff. And I was like, sold. So we just sat in there every day and things started moving. With industry, it was a couple, validated with a couple of friends that worked in the hospitality industry. And we decided vividly over, we talked, as soon as we started talking equity, I was like, okay, this is getting serious. I was like, okay, we got to go for this. That was over some drinks. And then with Trust Mill, literally was that coffee shop at Moniker, followed by that text from Daniel that afternoon. And then we started meeting up every day and working on it. But it was really the quick pitch event. So what was your specific moment, as specific as you can get for the group today, of when you started and committed to your company or a past company?
Yeah, I'll start it off. So my last company, Rock My World Media, was all about music for exercise, and similar to Samantha, I wasn't much into running, but I had been a DJ for about 10 years and had an agent and played in front of crowds and did all that sort of thing. So I started putting together music for my own workouts. And if anybody's ever run or done any sort of work, you get the runner's high, right? So I was listening to music, I'm on the treadmill, I'm crushing it, right? I'm like, I should start a company around this. This would be awesome. And so I very clearly remember I was working at Qualcomm at the time, on the treadmill in the Qualcomm gym, listening to this. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. It was the endorphins, right, that were kicking in. Little did I know how hard it would be, but at the time, it seemed like a great idea, so it was.
I'm happy my version of that with Trust Mobile was not me skydiving and thinking I'm gonna die. I should have one of those. Like
That could be it.
that might have been it. I'm jealous that that's your origin story there. I appreciate that. Yeah, go.
That was it for me.
Sure.
Trying to think the exact moment. I think tried to talk myself out of it for quite a while actually. So at that time, I'm like a huge geek. So I only code in AI, right? So did not understand infrastructure, DevOps, any of the other surrounding pieces of being a CTO or technical co-founder. So I went to my boss at the time at LinkedIn and I was like, I have this other offer from a startup. What should I do? At that time, he just told me, you have to do this because you'll learn everything you need to learn when you're at your job. But before that, I told my co-founder, Suman, make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into because I cannot do anything else except for AI. Right. So I think for me, it was actually like my mentor's moment who made the choice for me because he really made me believe in myself. That I could do anything I want if I have the willingness to learn. And I did not have to have all the skills, right, at that specific time. And until today, I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning about marketing, how to go to market, commercialization. So I think like being a startup founder, you always have to have that ability to learn and willingness to learn. But you definitely don't have to know everything, right? That's why we're here.
I agree with that. I think our story, there's a lost year that I never really share. So great question, where I had the idea when I was studying abroad, and this was my junior year of college. And then when I tell the story, I'm like, yeah, and then I started the company. But there was a whole year in between that where I was like, that was a cool initiative that I did. Now I have to go get a real job. And then after I do that for a few years, I could maybe start something of my own. And University of San Diego has this thing called a Torero Trek, where they'll send students to meet with companies and you can learn what it would be like to work in that industry. I fly to New York. I'm meeting with Facebook and Google and Salesforce. And I'm talking to executives at this company about what it would be like to work there. Telling them what I was interested in. I wanted to be innovative. I wanted to build new things. And across the board, they all told me, you're not going to do that here. You're way too junior. You should go to a startup. Still didn't feel ready to start a company. So I applied to something called Venture for America, which is like Teach for America, but for startups. It's a whole consulting style interview program. I get to the final interview and they're like, tell me about a project you did in college that got you really excited. And I start pitching them on Vizer. And this woman looks at me, she's like, why are you not doing that? And it was this light bulb moment where I was like, I should do that in the interview. So of course I didn't get it. And then I had no options and now I'm here.
That was awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. Something that's interesting, it's funny being on stage because I remember earlier in my journey, I'd come to startup week events and Adam would be the one talking or, be the hot guy in town. Everyone's like, hey, what's going on with the business? And then like, you have this rotation in your journey and something that you struggle with, the more success the business has is imposter syndrome. And this is something that every founder will go through from the earliest stage all the way through present day. I'd love if you're comfortable sharing, how you kind of manage through imposter syndrome. One of the things I called out in the talk is that your company is not your identity. So like, what is your identity when you're not working? Like, what do you like to do? What keeps your mind occupied that isn't just 24/7 startup mode?
I had to really separate those things because when we first launched the company, it was just our full-time focus. It was so much of our identity. My cousin and I, we were living together. We were working together. It was constant. And it wasn't until COVID really that you have all this time open up. And I realized all of my creative energy is going into this company. Like everything I'm doing has become a transaction and that just isn't a good way to live. So I really had to separate it out and say, what do I like to do? And I realized that a lot of that creative energy that was going into the company, I liked to paint. I learned how to play piano. So it was all these things that came aside from the business and developed this concept of whole person health that we think is really important. And then once you're filling your own cup, I became such a better leader. I became such a better team member, such a better co-founder, all these things, because the team then understood, oh, this doesn't have to be my whole life either. And I think that really helps with the imposter syndrome. When you know who you are and not like what you're trying to build, then I think you refer to it, but it's your character versus your reputation.
Still not great at work-life balance. Still work about 18 hours a day. But I think I totally agree with that. If you give yourself the peace of mind and space, your team will inherit that energy from you, right? Because everyone's working in a super stressful situation. And especially our more junior engineers, I worry about them all the time because they could, maybe they didn't have that much up and downs and don't know how to deal with it. So being a leader is also about projecting that peace to them as well. But that on the side, I do rock climbing, so not quite as dangerous as skydiving. But I enjoy kind of like just being outside and doing really, really hard things. That's physical and mental as well. That's not work, right? And one thing I adopted over the last year or so is the Eisenhower matrix, for those of you who are familiar, really trying to schedule time for people who are important, but in the fray of daily things, you may forget about them. So I actually have a calendar hold that says call parents every single week. So that's how I kind of cope and force myself into really accommodating for the whole of who I am.
Yeah, I think the idea of identity, imposter syndrome, how entrepreneurs think about themselves is a really important topic. And one of the things that one of the techniques I've coached some of the entrepreneurs I work with on is the idea of an alter ego. So this is something that you see a lot of athletes use. Music artist Beyonce, as an example, was an incredibly shy artist. So she created this profile called Sasha Fierce. And Sasha Fierce was bold and brash and out there. And that's the face that she could put on, the character she could assume when she was in certain scenarios. And so when I talk with entrepreneurs and they struggle with I was talking to one today who's a COO of a company that had just raised a $3 million round. And she's like, I can't even imagine, I can't even believe I'm the COO of this company. I'm like, you put on that character, put on that face, find somebody to model. To me, that's a really helpful thing. Probably a bit from my DJ background. Up here, I'm Adam Riggs, right? In the club, I was DJ Riggs, right? That's a completely different person, right? And he's pretty cool to hang out with, to be honest. But it's a different profile, and so I certainly found that helpful in my journey, putting on different faces for different groups, and helped me to kind of emulate the type of person I needed to be in a certain environment.
We're gonna go a little more personal in the next round here. Who's
personal? We getting deep up here, huh?
DJ Riggs? Come on.
Let's go. Yeah.
What's your opening song? Give us a little preview.
It's not so much the opening. The closing one was "Let Me Clear My Throat," DJ Cool. Of course, I probably just aged myself, so it's but that was the one to close it out.
A personal one. What were you into when you were a kid? Your little kid. What was your hobby or quirk that you draw connection to today as an adult?
So for me, I